one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast, the podcast where we delve into those salty, salty mines of the Magic
Why
the
was
Gathering
a question
community.
that time?
Delve?
Delve? We do delve.
Yeah.
As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined by my two lovely, beautiful co-hosts, Mike and Tony. Say hey, guys.
What up?
Hey guys.
Tony, did you trip on your last one up?
I did. You couldn't just
What up,
let it
what up,
ride.
what?
You couldn't just let it mellow. You had to. God, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's that I wanted to say another one or I didn't quite get that last one out, but something happened.
I get it, man. I mean, you've seen how much I fuck up the intro. Like sometimes.
Yeah, but you just fucking edit that shit out. You'll leave mine in.
Well, yeah. Yours are a part of how you speak at this point. The listener is accustomed to it.
Yeah.
They're looking for
But
it.
Sam has been editing himself this whole time. So it would be weird if he started sounding different, you know?
I'll say I've never
laugh.
re-recorded an intro to the show. Every time it's a bad take, it stays.
Love that. Love
But before we go any further, you know we got to shout them out. Our salt, nope, not them.
Our salt patrons.
Our nice tier patrons. And this week we have Alex Balix, Crane Bean, Prime Speaker Florian, Dr. Black, Accidental TPK, and Z. Thanks for being so nice, everybody. Really
Nice.
appreciate it. When did you guys last have a s'more?
I almost had them last weekend, but we did not get some more materials. So last summer it would be.
Damn.
Yeah, some point last summer, probably too. I feel like it's one of those things that at least once a summer.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was
am
going
in
to say.
some sort of scenario in which I have a s'more.
I aim to at least have once a summer.
Yeah.
Mm.
And usually it's like varying levels of jank. I feel like very rarely is it truly how
Like
it's
Grenzo?
meant to be, where like over like a fire, somebody like does
Mana
a-
crypt
I
in
feel like-
it.
Yeah. Like I feel like most of the time it's like people just provide shit. I've had it like stuck in a toaster oven before, like like whatever works to get a toasted
Dude.
mallow.
So last summer, we're up with I had a different story to tell, which I will tell. But on the topic of jank s'more materials, last summer, we're up visiting my in-laws at their summer place. And we have like a little fire pit going. And my wife's mother is like, do you guys want to do s'mores? And we were like, fuck yeah. Like, we had like graham crackers and chocolate. But she didn't have marshmallows. The only marshmallows she had, well, she didn't have the right marshmallows, but she did have marshmallows. So she comes out with these like marshmallows intended for a hot cocoa. They're like peppermint marshmallows with like a chocolate inside, but it's like a weird, like chalky marshmallow
Ooh.
chocolate.
Oh,
And man, it was just all wrong. They
Like
like
is
didn't
not the vibe.
they didn't cook right, and she's just cracking up. Like she knows they're wrong. She's just cracking up, giving them to us. We're all giving it our best shot. They taste fucking horrible. They're old. The peppermint flavor is like all fucked up, and again like chalky. Like this is a marshmallow that's meant to dissolve at the touch of a hot liquid, not like cook.
Over flame.
not roast over an open flame. Yeah.
It was such an abomination. It was really enjoyable, honestly. It was just so bad. It was good.
When you guys toast your mallow, assuming you have the appropriate settings, are you one of those sick fucks who like lets it get black and like lets the thing ignite, blows it out, slaps it on? Do you sit there painstakingly like toasting for a while. I feel like I assume I know the answer for both of you, and I've read the answer for both of you. And they're both different.
What do you think the answers are for both of us?
Yeah, guess.
I think that Mike like fucking slaps that bitch in the fire. It catches fire and he's like, nice, good enough, blows it out, happy, slaps it on his mallow and is good. And I think Sam sits there for 6 hours trying to fucking toast it to what he considers perfection. Usually executing correctly, and every once in a while lighting the bitch on fire and being like, well, there we go, and then eats it. That would be my guess for the two of you.
Mike, do you want to go first?
I make a crispy, perfectly golden mallow the first time I make a s'more. And then after that, I don't even put a s'more together. I just roast. I just burn one. and then I eat the burn part. I just slide the burn part off, eat that, and then I burn it again,
Mike.
and then I just eat the burn part again, and then I just do that until there's no more mallow.
Dude, Mike and I are brothers in this. I do the exact same fucking thing. First s'more is perfect. I got the patience. It's golden. It's melty. After that, I'm just fucking torching it, flaying it, like
Ripping that skin off.
ripping the flesh off, torching it again, ripping it off again. Infinite marshmallow glitch until it's fucking gone, dude. It is definitely I'm the exact same way, dude.
Interesting.
Oh,
Love
that's
that.
so fucking good.
What about you, Tony? I feel like you're just a burn it kind of guy.
I feel like you're a burn it. Actually, I don't know. The way you talked about burning, you were kind of like
You were kind of disparaging.
disrespectful. Yeah, you were a little
You actually
disparaging
you
to the
kind of made
technique.
me think that you think that anyone that does that is like a morally bad person.
Yeah.
I feel like I usually I start out trying to toast it and I'm like too far away from the heat. And I'm just like, because I don't want it to burn.
Right.
It's not my style. And it's taking too long and I get impatient. And then I just stick it in the fire. And then I bring it back and I blow it off and I'm like, that's good enough. And I slap
it's
it on my
fine.
mallow and I'm like, you literally don't even taste the burn.
You know what? If you want the perfectly golden one, like throw it in a toaster oven. Like do it
Yeah.
without the fire. Like there are mechanical ways to perfect it.
You don't get that smoke though.
You don't get the smoke. You do not get the smoke.
Sometimes my toast will be prime and then it just I go a hair too long and the
You
bitch
try and
just
get the
fucking
bottom, don't
falls
you?
right off. No, it just like falls off the thing.
You try and toast the bottom.
One turn and it's just like the whole thing slides off my fucking
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, if you got a bad skewer too,
my fork or whatever.
So the reason I asked this is because a few weeks ago, my buddy Juan came down and me, Juan, and Caroline did like a little barbecue action and we got like s'more stuff, right? So we have a fire pit in our backyard. Never fucking use it. I just don't really use it at all. But like when I'm cleaning my yard, if there's like sticks and shit before I mow the lawn, I throw it in the fire pit. So the amount of like brush sitting in the fire pit, it had been there for like over a year.
So it's dry.
It was fucking dry is what
Yeah.
I'm getting at. And there were a lot of leaves in there that had gotten in. So it was like quite literally a tinderbox ready to fucking go up. So, we're having a good time. We go out to the fire pit and we're like, all right, let's light it. I'm like, okay, I think I'll just like light it and it'll probably like go up pretty quick. And I didn't even think to like maybe take some brush out. Like this fire pit is full, right? And my neighbors have a tree that like hangs over the fence and there's like a branch kind of above the fire pit. And I was like, is that too close? Is that far away? Caroline's like, nah, it's going to be totally fine. I was like, I don't know. I'm a little worried, but I'm also always a little worried. So it's sort of like, are my worries founded here?
Yep.
So anyways, I light it up and,
Nice.
and boy, does that flame fucking zip across all the tinder, dude. And within like 2 minutes, we're all standing like 5 feet away from like a 7-foot tall flame. And I'm like, holy fuck. And the branch above it is just like wafting and shaking like crazy just from the fucking wind coming off of like the heat jet stream off this bonfire. And I am like, oh my God, we're going to fucking burn down the tree. And I'm like grabbing the hose, like the garden hose. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking kill this thing. And Caroline's like, just let it go. I've seen tons of bonfires. It's going to be fine. And Juan is like, yeah, it's going to be fine, man. And I'm like, panicking, dude.
Did you not put any logs on it too?
No logs, nothing to like keep it down. It just fucking
That's what I'm saying. You
zipped,
just
dude.
let it like
It just
yeah.
ripped. It just fucking ripped. So after like 5 minutes, it's starting to like get down to, maybe chest height. And it's so hot. And we're not even near it to even try to toast a marshmallow. I'm just still on like fire warden duty.
Yeah.
And then finally it gets down to this small fire, but it's just full of these blazing hot coals and there's no actual flames. So when we try to toast the marshmallows, it just doesn't toast. It's just heat. There's no actual fire to like make the toasting happen.
You only need.
Usually the coals are pretty good,
The
but you're
coals
not
are the
gonna
best part for toasting.
You're not gonna get the burn action that you're looking for.
You're not gonna get the burn. But we had to get so close with the skewers we had, and they were like bad skewers to the point where it was skewers, like a downward trajectory and a lot of risk of them just sliding off into the fire. Yep. It was a mess. We did end up eating a lot of s'mores, had a lovely fire after it was controlled. And later on, I was talking with Juan and I was like, dude, sorry, man. I was kind of like freaking out about the fire. And he was like, oh, no, it was fucked up, man. He was like, I was just trying to keep you calm, but it was pretty fucked up. and then the next day, we like come outside and the branch above it is just fully brown, just had been cooked. We just cooked that whole branch. It didn't catch a flame, but it did get like braised.
It roasted it.
Yeah, we roasted it, man. It was shocking. So, lesson learned. I learned a valuable lesson that day about fire safety in my own backyard.
Yeah. Smokey the Bear would have said that it was dry as fuck in that.
Yeah. He would have been like, the fire risk today is very high.
Check the area around your fire for any low-hanging branches or nearby shrubs.
Literally. It was like I could have taken 2 minutes and prepped the space, or just taken half of the brush off of the pile so it wasn't a 6 foot tall flame.
Like it almost sounds like a bad training video of can you spot what's going wrong here?
Throughout the entire time, I was identifying events where I made the wrong choice. I was like, shouldn't have done that. But it just, as soon as the flame hit, it caught so fast because everything was so dry. I didn't even have a chance to grab a chunk of brush and tear it off,
Yeah.
God, dude, it was traumatic. But the s'mores were great. And we got the extra big marshmallows, and baby, talk about infinite marshmallow glitch. That was
you can rip a lot of edges off of that. That's pretty great.
Yeah, you can play that marshmallow all day. And then we did some Reese cup marshmallows. Ooh,
whoa!
Just in place of the chocolate,
instead of Hershey's chocolate, just stick a Reese's. Peanut butter cup.
I like it.
Put a little peanut butter cup in there, man.
Oh shit!
It's fucking good.
How have I never even thought?
Yeah, I like that.
That sounds
so good,
genius.
Dude. It was really good. It was quite delicious.
What graham crackers did you use?
I don't know the brand of graham cracker we had, but they were made for s'mores. They came in these packets where it was just a s'more size graham cracker, perfectly made. It was really funny because we scoured the supermarket trying to find all the different things. We were like, okay, well, marshmallows are probably in the baking aisle, I guess, or maybe the candy aisle. And then, in the cracker aisle, we'll find the graham crackers, and then the chocolate's going to be in the candy aisle. And we're all over. It was so hard to find the marshmallows. And then we're checking out, and there's just one of those little things. It's
having s'mores this summer?
yeah, literally. Do you want s'mores?
Everything.
Here's all the fucking shit you need, you dumb idiot. And I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks, supermarket.
I just intentionally bought an impulse purchase. Very cool.
I really went on a journey to find it. But man, s'mores are great. And now we just have surplus graham crackers and marshmallows and chocolate in the house. And I'm just ripping little s'mores. I'm just making a s'more in my mouth, a cold s'more in my own mouth all the time. It's great.
You're just eating a lot of marshmallows recently, is what you're telling us.
I was taking a bite of a marshmallow and a bite of a graham cracker and being like, it's pretty close.
Just rip it over your gas stove.
That is what I should do. That's definitely goes in that category of jank s'more prep where you're just inside.
You just make sure you don't drop it on the stove. Pro tip.
Oh man, talk about a nightmare.
Unless you want those grill marks.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was like the epilogue. Other than the epilogue of killing the poor branch of that tree, the other epilogue was that we had grilled earlier, and the coals in the grill were still like piping hot. And we noticed after we did the bonfire that we could have just grilled the s'mores on the grill.
Yeah, nice,
You're
classic.
like, well, we didn't have to like almost burn down the neighborhood for that, but oh well.
But you got to.
But we
That's
got
a nice
to.
little side quest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got to experience something really exciting. Insert salt transition.
Yeah, I was hoping Mike was going to do something because I don't like saying the salty thing and then being like, "But what is salt?"
Have you guys ever used any salt on your s'mores?
Fucking pure.
Wow,
so
dude.
good.
That's pretty good. Honestly, it probably actually would be pretty good. They're truly a sugar bomb.
Yeah, like a nice little salted chocolate kind of thing.
Ooh, little finishing salt
That'd
on
be
there.
kinda nice.
Mm.
But wait,
Huh?
Sam.
Huh?
What is salt?
Tony, thank you for asking. I do appreciate it. Salt is frustration in the game, as we like to say here in the Howling Salt Mine. We use it as an umbrella term. It's anything in a Magic game that's going to get you salty. Whether you're playing EDH, whether you're playing Friday Night Magic, you're playing some Limited, you're cubing. Things are not going to go your way from time to time, and you might feel frustrated. Now, maybe you're one of those people out there that's like, nah, I don't get salty. No, interaction happens. My stuff gets removed. It's fine. Well, I guarantee you I could find a situation where you get a little bit salty. Maybe it's just someone being a dickhead at an LGS.
Or maybe there's moments where you make someone else salty instead.
Yeah, maybe you are the problem.
Maybe there's a Taylor Swift song about that.
There's so many different types of salt out there, and we're going to talk about, well, a few of them, not all of them, but over the course of the show, probably all of them, so that we can learn from the salt and hopefully not be salty in a future game. As we like to say, it's an edumagicational show.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
I think we're hitting the point where it's just gonna be there now.
It's just what we say
it's
now.
there.
It's
What a
just
treat.
there.
What a treat.
What a treat.
It's happened. Edumagicational. That's just it. Who would have thought? Look at us. Who would have thought? You guys ready for some salty stories?
Let's do
I
it.
am ready.
All right. Well, we have one here from our lovely website. There's a website submission. Our website is howlingsaltmine.com or thehowlingsaltmine.com. If you have a salty story out there, you can find a little submission link on there where you can send it to us to read on a future episode. This one comes to us from our buddy Red Win, and the post is titled Turn 1 Commander, Turn 2 Removal.
I hate that.
You hate that?
That seems like an appropriate call and response there.
That seems great.
It feels like a thing that's happened to me and I don't like it.
You're so Ob Nixilis pilled. You see
yeah,
every
you are
magic thing
so-
through the lens of Ob Nixilis.
It's not even that. I was actually thinking of Prismatic Bridge.
Did you turn one Prismatic Bridge one time?
No, sorry. I guess I didn't
Oh
turn
my God.
it,
I was
but
like,
it's
you monster.
yeah,
I would be still talking about that if it ever happened. Holy
Yeah, that
shit.
would come up in every
That'd
episode.
be an aggressive.
You play all 5
Yeah.
Moxen.
Yeah.
These are legal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, what would that be? Land, Chrome Mox, Mox Diamond, Mox Opal, and then a Jeweled Lotus for the last pip.
Yeah. You could have a Lion's Eye Diamond too. Like,
Oh yeah, LED. And then just who cares about your hand, you know? You've already
Yeah.
played it all.
yeah, it wouldn't be that hard, which is kind of crazy.
Honestly, pretty easy and fair for a 7.
Maybe I should play Prismatic Bridge and CDH.
Actually,
turn
yeah,
one
that sounds like a
bridge.
viable strategy. Everyone should be running that.
Yeah, just play
Unbeatable.
the bridge turn 1. I mean, what if it was turn 1 bridge and the only creature was like Razaketh or something, and then you go search like the other lines?
Well,
But, like,
Razaketh needs some other bodies, but
Needs a creature to sack.
he can sack himself, can't he?
and then
And then you use
Living
Razaketh.
Plane. Living Plane to turn the one land.
and then you get a
into
basic forest.
This is not worth it. Let's keep going. with
Yeah,
this
let's keep
story.
going. All right, let's keep going. All right, and the story goes, Hiya, been listening to y'all all day at work and decided to send a story in on my break. This happened a few weeks ago, and a few friends and I went to the LGS as usual. It was just the 3 of us, and someone I had played with in the past asked to join. We had a short Rule 0 convo about power level, deciding it was high power, not CDH, but play to win fast.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing Osgear, the Reconstructor, which I said was about an 8, as it has a couple infinite mana combos and a few payoffs for those. My friends, who we can call Timothy Chalamet and Ryan Gosling, nice. We're playing Vile Smasher Sakashima and Jetmir Nexus of Revels. The salty player in question, who we'll call Bruce Willis, was playing Volo, the Simic one. So not Tony's Volo, the Simic Volo. I went first, played a mountain and passed. Mr. Willis was up next, and he went Island, Jeweled Lotus, and cast his commander. Timothy played an Island, Soul Ring, and passed. Ryan played a Forest and a Mana Dork and passed. My second turn came around, and I played a Plains and then cast Rip Apart, targeting Volo. Bruce went quiet and sighed before moving Volo back into the command zone. He then proceeded to only play 3 more lands, counter a couple spells, and otherwise not engage in the game. I ended up losing to Jetmir, and Bruce said, bet you wish you'd saved that removal now. I was fine with my choice, as Rip Apart wouldn't do anything to the Jetmir player's board. Well, we finish up and shuffle, and Bruce spends the entire next game trying to target me down. This time I end up running away with the game and winning with a Hellkite Tyrant, at which point Bruce slams his cards onto the table and whines about how busted Hellkite Tyrant is. Short, sweet, and to the salt, man.
Fuck Hellkite Tyrant, though. I do hate that card when it lands and actually can connect to me and I see all the artifacts I'm about to lose. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, Tyrant is the one that I'll just read it real quick since you're talking about it. 4 and 2 red for a 6/5 dragon with flying and trample, a little flample action. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
And it's one of the few times where I think it is important that it has, and good that it has the text that if you have 20 or more artifacts, you win the game. Because rather than them sitting there and diddling themselves trying to figure out what to do with everybody's artifacts, they just win.
Yeah.
And they just shuffle up and play again. And it isn't this game of it's like, oh, look at what am I going to do in this big crazy turn. And they're almost sad about it. They're like, oh, I won. Like I was going to do crazy shit. I was like, no, you won.
Good.
Your 20 artifacts is done. Like,
so I just want to read Volo real quick. I want to understand the impact of a turn 1 Volo.
I got him.
Yeah, hit us with that, Mike.
It's 2, a green and a blue for a legendary creature, human wizard. Whenever you cast a creature spell that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, copy that spell. He's a 3/2.
Notably, Rip Apart, which costs a red and a white, sorcery, choose one. I'll read the choice that wasn't chosen first, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And then the other choice is Rip Apart deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. And notably, Rip Apart is going to kill Volo, and it's not going to hurt Jetmir.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch it.
Because Jetmir has got a big booty. He's a 5/4. Man, this is just like only for me and not for thee, you know, kind of vibes. It's like, well, I can do broken shit. But if you play a 6 mana slow win con like Hellkite Tyrant, no way. It's just fucking silly, man.
I'm confused. Did the poster, they won both games? I kind of missed that. They won the second one with Hellkite, but did they also go away with it in the first one?
OP lost the first one to Jetmir.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. That ran away with it.
Our buddy, I think it was Ryan Gosling.
Nice, Ryan.
Good old Ryan, you know, on Jetmir.
Ryan on the Jetmir. Yeah, some people just like can't really evaluate what's causing the game to happen in an unbiased way when they get like impacted by something early like this. It's not using that removal on the value engine commander that came down turn 1 that makes you lose to the Jetmir. It's like the Jetmir player, you know, going and not having more answers for that and the rest of the table not having answers. So I don't know. It's tough. People are going to interact with early value engine commanders, and it's kind of par for the course.
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like if you're dropping it down turn fucking 1, everybody's going to be like, whoa, I don't have value yet.
Yeah.
I should probably remove that.
Yeah.
And guess what? Everybody's got probably some kind of removal, like because it hasn't been used on anything else yet. And they're like, your commander?
Right. No one's used any removal.
Seems like a good thing to do.
Yeah, if you're the first person to overextend, you're going to eat the first piece of removal. That's just
Yeah.
that's just how it is, man. If I mulligan and I have a Swords to Plowshares and Tony drops some crazy creature turn 1 or 2, the thought will go through my mind to get rid of it with my Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah. If you're turn 1, I mean, there's 21 cards that opponents have that are likely to be something that's going to mess with you. So like, despite people not having mana out, there's still a lot of answers for stuff that's going to come down. Just the timing of it is going to change.
But I do get the vibe of it's like, oh, sick. Turn 1 Mando. And the next turn I'm going to pop off and do fun shit. And then you're like, oh, you took all my fun shit away.
Yeah.
So I get that it hurts, but you got to know what's going to happen.
So that's a really interesting thing. Just what you mentioned there, Tony. Like turn 1 commander, turn 2, I'm going to pop off and do some crazy shit. The story says that there's the turn 1 Volo. And then after that, Bruce Willis only plays lands and counters a couple spells. And like, you need creatures to get any value off of Volo. Volo does nothing if you don't cast other creatures. So either Bruce is like fully sulking and just like, I'm not going to play anything out and fuck this game, I'm not even going to play blockers, or they were blinded by the spice of a turn 1 Volo and the rest of their hand was dookie.
I mean, it could be that would make more sense too, as to why they'd be like so kind of frustrated about getting interacted with, because they didn't even have that follow-up for it.
Yeah.
But also, if you do have the Volo and you have like a Sakura Tribe Elder, like maybe that doesn't even matter enough to make it into this recap of the story that we're seeing. But a Steve coming out with Volo out is actually 2 lands you're ramping, and like, you know, maybe having that Volo out turn 1 was actually integral to the gameplay in a way. And without having all the creatures they cast be duplicated, like maybe they don't even matter then in the story in that case.
Yeah, that could be true. Just omitted from the story, but
hard to say though.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
And it does feel like one of those things when you have such a value heavy commander, like you're just looking at it and it's all you see. So it's like, even though you should keep playing stuff to progress your board state, it's like, oh, well, like I should just wait for 2 more lands so I can just cast the commander again and like get the value on all those things instead of playing stuff that I should probably play. I know I fall into that trap all the time. If it's like, well, I'm not going to play this thing and I'm just going to like play my commander again, or like wait until it seems better, when it's like, nah, I should just be progressing my board state in some way, shape, or form. But
yeah, I think that's a pretty common trap with commanders that like give extra value, where you always want to be playing spells behind it. Like Emoti is that deck for me 100%, because I want to be cascading shit. So I would rather lose out on a turn to recast my Emoti to play some value piece the turn after and get the cascade, versus just establishing value right now and maybe having a better turn next turn. Like sometimes that definitely blinds me and causes me to make bad decisions, really.
Yeah, but often also it is actually the right call. Like if you do wait and have that value engine out, it can be that you're, you know, more than twice the value you'd be getting if you just played the thing this turn. So like it's actually often the right call too, which makes it even harder to identify those moments where like actually you should just get kind of the incremental value.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, what do we think about the Sol rating here on this one?
I mean, it's fucking whiny pee pants Salt, dude. This is like this dude fucking sulked so hard in game 1. Was like, oh, I bet you wish you had that interaction now, which is one of my least favorite comments that people make.
Yeah,
I mean, especially when it's the interaction that doesn't
it doesn't fucking help. It's like, you dummy. Sorry, am I supposed to save every piece of interaction I have until someone's about to win? Like, that's not how you play the game.
But again, that interaction wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah, it wouldn't have done anything anyways. Oh, sorry, did Jetmir have an enchantment that I needed to remove?
Yeah.
So, like, I get the Salt. I understand overextending and having it blow back on you and trying to, like, do that stuff. But, man, it's just so whiny. Like, don't push out that fast, you know? Like, lately I've been, if I get turn 1 Soul Rings, I really evaluate whether I should play it on turn 1 or if I could hold it until turn 2 or 3. Because it changes how other people see the game.
Yeah.
I always think of that. And I always am like, am I going to play something with it on turn 2 and 3 sometimes, depending upon what it is. I've sandbagged a Soul Ring or other things Definitely Mana Crypts too sometimes. Although
yeah,
recently
man.
I've been playing it more
You can
frequently
get
in
burned by that
CDH.
too.
Yeah.
You can't get burned
Yeah.
by that in CDH, but like in a high power casual game,
Sandbag that
if
shit.
4 people are playing and one person gets their commander down early, everyone's going to look at that one person. Especially if there's like no other creatures on the board other than like a mana dork or something. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to draw some heat, man. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
For
It's
sure,
just like
dude.
bad breaks. Get good. I got no sympathy for this person.
To let it bleed into another game too. Like it's one thing to get your commander removed early in a game and be kind of upset about it and like let it really hinder your enjoyment for that game. Like it's fair that game is kind of ruined for you by that happening. But to then decide to take that into your next game, it's not the beneficial thing for the pod.
It's not. And also, like, I don't know. Maybe this is right, maybe this is wrong. Don't whine and do all that and still fucking lose.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
do all that, like,
True.
at least fucking win, bro. Like,
Yeah, be effective with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of like bad manners here from this random person, you know? It's
sure.
unfortunate, but hey, at least like a random person got salty and not a random person making you salty. I do think that's a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah.
Silver linings and all.
For sure. Well, take me on another sweet adventure.
I can't promise it'll be sweet, but I will take you on another adventure.
Another salty ride.
All right. Well, let's do a patron story next, guys. So this one comes to us from
do
our
it.
lovely patron, President Ketchup.
Well, what? I've only sent one additional card to him that I didn't mean to send.
Nice.
I forgot about that, dude.
Had him in the Secret Santa, and then I like bought a card for myself and sent it to him instead.
One is pretty good.
I think it was a Sidip.
Dude, you love that card.
Yeah.
Like fucking Sidip's going to fucking everybody. Mike got a Sidip. I got a Sidip. He got a Sidip. Everybody got a Sidip.
I want a Sudimp. Send me one, Tony.
Yeah,
Send me a Sudimp.
All right, I will.
And then I get your next shipment of cards too.
I was gonna say you gotta sneak your name into his TCG player in order to make that happen.
Exactly. Yeah, got to make you ship it to me directly. And this story from President Ketchup is called "The Roughest Pub Stomp." I remember when he posted this one. I don't often read these when they come up, but this one I had to because he was so fresh off the salt. I like went and read it and was like, dude, that was fucking bad. And the story goes, at the time of sending, this story is within the last 12 hours. Over the course of 3 games, game 1, I joined a random pod at an LGS. This is a case of get fucked 4th player, but I hate him. Hold on.
Wait a second.
This is a case of get fucked 4th player, but I hate him because he's playing an unsleeved deck and he's riffle shuffling. Player 2 is playing Loot. Player 3 is playing Imskier Iron Eater, and I am playing Rocco Street Chef. The game starts off with the Loot player, and he's playing a fetch into Tropical Island. Red flags go off in my head, and I ask, is this a CDH deck? He says no. I don't want to lose on turn 2. The unsleeved guy goes next and plays a tap land, and then Imskier plays 4 free artifacts. I am dealing with not 1, but 2 low-level bad CDH decks. The game is then sped up and promptly ended the next turn when the unsleeved guy plays Mana Flare, doubles everyone's mana, and then Imskier plays Dockside into an infinite combo, winning the game. I say I want to play higher level after the game, but both get upset when I pull out my Brea CDH deck, saying they don't want me to pub stomp.
Ugh.
I play a second game, and the game went better, but the decks felt really strong. Still nothing of note. Game 3, the Imskier player had left for the night, and it was going to be a 3-way at the end of the night. I'm playing Aragorn, Unsleeved is playing the same deck, and the last pub stomper is playing Galta. The Galta player was able to play Galta on turn 4 and hit the unsleeved player for 20 commander damage. And I have presented Aragorn with 16 damage, and he makes a deal to not hit me with Galta. And in response, the unsleeved player plays a goad spell on Galta, which I luckily had a fog for. The unsleeved player on his next turn knocks Galta down to 10, passing to me. I play an Ink Treader Nephilim and make both my creatures unblockable, swinging for game. The unsleeved player plays Reigns of Power, taking my creatures and ending the combat, king making the Galta player. I told them, call me Morton's because I'm fucking salty, and I left. I have never had two such terrible experiences.
Oof. You got that the unsleeved player just playing an entirely different brand of Magic than
playing a different
than anyone
game,
wanted
man.
to play. Yeah,
Just playing a different fucking game. Good Lord, dude.
I feel like I actually cringe when people are playing unsleeved decks and riffle shuff them. Like,
it's so nice though.
oh man, it skeeves me out. Like, it just upsets me. I don't even know.
It's definitely something to get used to.
Oh, I have another little bit. Ketchup finishes this by saying, in conclusion, please, for the love of God, play CDH if you have CDH cards in a deck. Fair.
That tracks.
Yeah, I mean, most decks are going to have CDH cards in that. It's really hard to say what a CDH card is and what's just a card that gets played in CDH. Like, I've harped on this before, but like Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exiles, for some reason, people don't get up in arms when those get used in casual games. Arcane Signet, fine. You know, Soul Ring, kind of okay. Some people don't like it, but Mana Crypt, way out. You know, like definitely not okay. So like, it's all pretty arbitrary which cards are like a CDH card and which card are just a card that is very good and you want to play. So it's tough. I do know what Ketchup's talking about though, about like bad CEDH decks. And that really it really is something where like people are just trying to do that thing. They've taken a deck and they've tuned it up as far as they can, but they maybe just like don't have the understanding of what an actual CDH deck looks like and like how concise it needs to be getting to those win cons, like how it needs to do all those things consistently, but they still have those inconsistent pieces to make it happen. So the ceiling on what the deck does is really insane. And it gets even more insane when you have an unsleeved player playing random like mana doubling effects.
Mana flare. Dude, the mana flare into the instant win is fucking so brutal. But yeah, you're totally right, Mike. Because if you have that like partially built CDH deck or that bad CDH deck, you're gonna have some games where you fucking dirtle. And then you're going to have some games where you fucking rip like how a CDH deck rips. You're truly taking all the consistency out and just throwing it to variance. And those are the decks where someone could be like, yeah, this deck is about like a 6 to a 9 on the power level. And it's like, yeah, you know, you're either playing fringe CDH or you're like fumbling with a precon almost with how some of those decks can be built.
It does feel real bad when you're like, when you see it and they don't though, because I feel like probably what I assume brought the most frustration when he's like, can we kick it up a notch? Can we just like play CDH? And they're like, no,
you're gonna pump stop us.
It's like, well, we're already having an imbalanced experience. I'm actually trying to get us to something more balanced than what we're currently doing.
And that is exactly the frustrating piece of he's like, I know how to make this more balanced. And they're like, actually, we prefer if it was unbalanced. Yeah, like, that sounds more fun, is like what they're saying.
I want it to be unbalanced in my favor. I don't want you having an advantage because you actually know how to put together a CDH deck.
Yeah,
that's not what I want. I want to stomp.
Also, unsleeved would still just be fucking fumbling.
Just be over there, just like
just doing fucking silly shit, man.
He's definitely licks teeth. It's Morbin time, shuffles deck, and then
I love it.
Rips 7 off the top.
Yeah.
That's the energy I get from them.
To me, this really seems like the story of you have this one game that's incredibly imbalanced and amplified by the misplay of somebody who just doesn't maybe know what's going on with like the board state, not reading these decks right. And it's just unpleasant. You try to fix it. The second game is still imbalanced. And then the third game sucks. There's some king making, there's some misplays, but it is like a 3-player game. But I think as like the dessert to these 2 previous shitty games, it's just like my night couldn't get worse. I'm just getting fucking king made in the stupid 3-player game. Someone took a shitty deal and basically was playing for second place in that moment. And I think after coming off of these 2 other awful experiences, that third one is going to feel just as fucking shitty.
Ooh, if not worse.
If not worse.
If not worse, because you're really looking for like a redemption arc for the knight at that point.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, what do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
Ugh, it's high.
Yeah. It's a demoralizing salt, man. This is one of those game nights where I would be like, I don't know if I'm going to go back to that LGS, or at least I'll take like a few weeks off, you know?
Yeah.
The next time Friday Night Magic comes around, I'm going to be like, maybe I stay home tonight. Maybe I just like watch a movie. Maybe I do something else.
Maybe I'll just watch a movie tonight. You know? I like that.
At least the movie, I know that the experience that the movie is going to bring forward and my watching ability are going to be kind of aligned. Whereas if I go to the LGS, I have no idea how that experience is going to go.
Yeah, you're just fucking playing with no rules, man. It's just insane. This is some fresh salt.
Yeah, I do love there is something great about the absolute freshness on this one. Like you can tell like just every little bit about it has been captured as an annoying facet of this gameplay experience.
Yeah.
Even things that like you can get through a little bit of power imbalance here and there sometimes, but when it all starts stacking up like this, it's rough.
Yeah, and also just, you know, people have their own schedules and shit like that, but like we didn't even talk about how the Imskir player who kind of stomped in the first two games just sort of like left them high and dry with a 3-player game for the last one of the night. So you don't even get that redemption against the person that like beat you in that first game, you know? And that can be pretty frustrating too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's round her out.
Take it home.
Let's do it. Let's take it on home, baby.
Take it home, country roads.
So we got another one here, and this one comes to us from our buddy Reed, and this is a submission through our website. And the post is titled "Spite Playing Troll Plays," and the story goes, "Hey, Yosemite Sam, Mike and Ike, and Tony the Tiger."
Nice.
That's us.
Definitely the first time I've gotten Tony the Tiger in my life.
Yeah.
I definitely fucking love it too.
Ike has never been said in reference to me before. Definitely not.
I've gotten very few Yosemite Sams. It's usually like Sam I Am, like a green eggs and ham kind of reference, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I would be a rich man if I had a penny for every fucking time I've heard Tony the Tiger. And I'm, again, not happy about it.
That'd be pretty great for you, Tony.
My fucking guy.
Ooh, nice.
Just read the fucking story.
I was just listening to HSM episode 24 about spite plays versus trolling. I 100% agree with your distinction between spite plays and trolling, but I have an extended take on the subject.
Don't we all?
Oh, yeah. A common thing that many of us have experienced. I was playing a polymorph Xyrus deck versus Ishin, Gargaros, and the flip Elish Norn with a banding theme. Unfortunately, we can consider the Elish Norn banding deck as the get fucked fourth player in the story. Sorry for the spice. The deck sounds cool. Unfortunate.
Indeed.
The Ishin player was off to a hot start and had both Swiftfoot Boots and Skull Clamp on the battlefield. The Gargaros player had a few medium-sized Hydras out. They played a Steelbane Hydra, and with the Hydra on their battlefield and noticing open 3 mana, I decided to make a deal. I proposed that I wouldn't use my Proteus staff for the rest of the game if they got rid of the Swiftfoot Boots or the Skull Clamp. They didn't want anything with my politics. They didn't even listen the multiple times I tried to explain how they basically got a 2-for-1 with my deal. I only proposed the deal because the rest of us were clearly so far behind the Ishin player. I even explained that I had no tokens on the battlefield to target with the Proteus staff. But alas, they wanted none of my political shit and still removed the Proteus staff. I also want to state that I've never broken a deal. Looking at you, Tony.
What the fuck?
Shit!
You must have broken something back in episode 20.
Damn, Tony.
That's probably when you guys were fucking bitching about some bullshit.
Past is coming back to
deals.
haunt you. Damn.
Bullshit.
Damn.
Wow. Calls me Tony the Tiger, calls me out for breaking deals and bullshit. Like
The Ishin player knocked me out the next turn, then everyone else scooped. To me, this was a troll play by the Gargaros player. When we shuffled up for the next game, the Gargaros player asked me, "We're cool, right? You're not going to target me for last game?" And I replied with no promises. I was definitely going to spite play them the next game if the opportunity presented itself. But
no.
instead, I had to deal with the other threats on the board and ended up not spite playing them. I know that you mentioned to not bring previous game actions into future games, which I mostly agree with. However, if someone trolls in one game, are you justified to spite play them in a future game? Is this the one exception to the rule? Stay salty, read. Okay, I have to read Steelbane Hydra. I feel like it has some ETB to destroy artifacts, but that's like the piece of the puzzle we're missing here. Steelbane Hydra, X, green. It enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. For 2 and a green, you can remove a +1/+1 counter from Steelbane Hydra and destroy target artifact or enchantment. Wow, it's pretty sick.
Whatchamacallit is similar. Oh god, what's the thing that you remove? Wickerbow Elder. You remove a -1/-1 counter from it, but you just pay green and you can destroy target artifact or enchantment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it is. Yep, from your Snake Lady deck.
Hepatra.
So to recap, there's removal on board. They have a Proteus staff. This Ishin player is going nuts with a Swiftfoot Boots and a Skull Clamp. They throw out a deal to say, don't destroy my staff. So it's not like removal was on the stack. Reed basically proposes that they remove the Skull Clamp and they would never use the Proteus staff as a deal. And instead, the Hydra player chooses to destroy the Proteus staff. We can only pull so many details from a story. Like, who knows how it actually was, but I feel like this would be different if removal was on the stack already and you were just trying to redirect it to something that you thought was a bigger threat, like you were having a conversation about the threat, versus like proposing that they use some removal and then the person is like, I will use it, but I'm going to use it on your thing.
I feel like when it's on the board like that, though, it's almost always on the stack.
That's true. Yeah.
It's not like literally there, but it's like one of those things like when everybody can see that you can do it, it's very like, huh?
Yeah.
Everybody's buttholes like tighten, and then you're like, are you gonna use that on me? And then so sometimes you try to get ahead of it and be like, yo, if you use it over there, that's dope,
Yeah.
and I just won't use this staff anymore. But a lot of times that could backfire, and then they'll just be like, I destroy the Proteus staffs, which is exactly what happened here.
It's definitely like a loaded gun type situation. Like nothing makes your already threatening threat on the table more threatening than you trying to politic a way to keep it around when no one's actively targeting it with removal yet. That just
Well
screams like, I need this desperately. Don't interact with it.
Yeah.
Which is bad for you.
Yeah.
You don't want people thinking that. You don't want like everyone's attention brought to the valuable thing that you have on board.
Yeah, you're kind of unintentionally putting heat on the Proteus staff when they may not have even been aware of it, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what I was saying about like if they had already activated this and targeted the Proteus staff and you were pleading to change the target and trying to make a deal, I think it's a very different situation than being like, hey, don't use that on my Proteus staff ever and maybe use it on this other thing. And I just won't activate my Proteus staff because it kind of makes a problem that didn't exist. You know, it draws this attention, like you're saying, Mike, it draws this attention that wasn't there already.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a spite play to then be like, you've drawn, or is it a spite play or a troll play to be like, you've drawn my attention to this powerful thing. Now I will choose to remove it. I don't know if it is. I think it's just kind of bad. It's just a bad play. Like, I don't know if that person was trolling, but I think it's just kind of a dumb idea to remove the Proteus staff in that moment when you didn't have anything to polymorph, you know?
I mean, something's going to come down that you're going to polymorph.
Yeah, but again, if you're bringing it up, it feels like it's so easy to get something first.
Yeah.
Like in a fucking Xyrus deck, like
Yeah.
somebody spits and like all of a sudden there's a snake on the field. Like,
Right.
Yeah. But react to the spit. When the spit is on the stack, then I get rid of the Proteus staff, you know? Like you can,
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe that's just my play style that like if I have a loaded gun on the table like that, I'm going to sit on it until I am forced to use it. If someone suggests I use it, I'm not going to be like, now's a good time to just fuck you over instead. Like I'm going to wait until the Proteus staff or the Skull Clamp, like whichever one is the biggest threat first. You know, someone goes to equip the Skull Clamp, it's like, all right, well, now's my moment. I'm going to pop that thing, you know?
Yeah.
A creature's coming in that could be polymorph. Well, now's my moment. I'm going to pop the staff. But is it really trolling? I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. That's not my take on this.
Yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of like, ooh, I deal with your good thing that's like almost trolling, but no, not really. Like that's sort of just normal interaction in the game, I feel like.
I do think it's very normal though to like play a game, have something happen, feel like you were targeted in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
go to the next game and have that moment of like, are we cool? And be like, yeah, we're cool. And be like, in your mind, we're definitely not
Yeah.
fucking cool. And I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna fuck your shit up.
Not cool at all.
Narrator voice, they were not cool.
Like, it's not good to do, but it's like human. It's like very normal. Like that's like what's gonna happen 9 times out of 10. I think it's normal. And that will continue to happen. Like, I don't think you're
Yeah.
an evil person or a bad person for doing it. I think it's the quote bigger person thing to not. But sometimes it's also like if you're not malicious about it, it's kind of fun to do too. Like sometimes it's like, oh, that thing you did last game, now it's coming back to bite you in the ass. I don't know what to tell you. Like, should we leave in the
Yeah.
past? In the past, yeah, but guess what? I'm not. So like, eat my removal right now.
And sometimes I think when it has that like joking vibe, it almost flips into more of like a trolley kind of friendly thing, you know?
Yeah.
There is the added layer that we didn't really talk about this person just not entertaining the politics at all and just sort of
Mhm.
being like, I don't want to make any deals. I don't want to hear out whatever deal you want to do. And our buddy Reed here choosing to plead over and over again and try to make their case about like why that thing should be removed. So I could see this sort of as like a, hey, like you're protesting too much. I'm just gonna fucking get rid of your produce staff. And I don't know if that's really trolling or if that is just like I'm just gonna shut you up by using this. You know, I'm just gonna use this card and make a decision and take game actions to move things forward and like make it so the deal's not even on the table. Like,
Yeah.
it just feels like two players that have very different play styles kind of bumping heads with how removal gets used.
Yeah. Trolling would be like, it's my first time playing this deck. Ooh, I have a produce staff out. Like, I'm excited to try out. Like, I've never done a polymorph thing with this deck. Who
Yeah.
knows what we're going to flip? Like, can't you guys wait? Isn't that going to be interesting? And then they remove it. And that, like, maybe that's trolling where there's like this other silliness to it. But this is just like threat on board. Player is complaining a lot about the potential for me to interact with that threat. I'm going to remove that. It's totally a doth protest too much situation.
It makes me think of times where we've like been debating where a piece of removal goes so much. And then usually it's like Nick or Mike or something that will just be like,
yeah, it's
all
on
right,
the
well,
stack,
it's just
now.
fucking going at you now. Like, you know, where I'm like, I think you should really send it here. I think you should really, and you're just like, all right, well, I'm just going to send it at you now. So shut up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going to put my spell that did this in the graveyard so that we all know it's resolved and done.
Yeah. Well, what do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
I don't know if there's really like a salt rating. It's more just like a verdict of like, was this trolling? I don't think it is. Does it justify spite? Yeah, I mean, I think to Tony's point, I think there's always a little bit of spite justified. I don't like you shouldn't go into the next game and fully target someone down and be like a jerk about it, but you can definitely like
next time they try and politic, be like, nope.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can, especially when it comes to deal making and politics, you can remember what happened in previous games when people did or didn't take deals. Like that's fair, you know?
Yeah.
I do think it is indicative that the Gargaros player knew that they kind of did something a little bit shitty just by the fact that they sort of apologized or checked in. They were like, we're cool, right? That kind of hints to me that like maybe they did have a little bit of trolling going on in that first game, but it's a little unclear. I just think that they were fed up hearing you yap.
That or they know you were upset about it and they're like, you good?
Yeah.
That too. Yeah, that too, man.
Totally.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. Definitely ponder whether your politics are having positive effects on things. It's always good to reflect a little bit. Like, are the deals I'm advocating for, one, happening? And two, if they're not happening, is bad stuff happening to me because I'm trying to make them? Like, deals have an impact on the game beyond just if they get agreed to. It's not like all or nothing on that. Purely yapping it up for a while can draw some attention and annoy people enough that maybe they want to set you back a little bit.
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta hold your tongue a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you are the silver-tongued politician, and other times you're like the buzzing mosquito in someone's ear, and they just swat you away.
And they slap you down.
They say, "Fuck no, fuck you. I'll just get rid of your shit now."
Yeah. Hey Sam,
Yeah, Tony.
isn't that time of the week?
Tony, I think it is that time of the week.
Oh baby, what time of the week is it?
It's the time of the week that comes every week.
Every fucking week, baby. Like every fucking week.
It's the time of the week where we say, Mike.
Mike.
It's the salty card of the week.
The salty card of the week this week is
Oh, salty card. Mike reads you every week. Blue stands above and makes our Tony shriek. With angry words, his salt will rise to say most grumpily. Blue cards are trash. He hates them all. He says predictably. Now we must guess where the salt will be. Oh, salty card, we read you every week. Oh, salty card, we read you every week.
Is that actually O Canada?
That is O Canada.
I realized as you went, I was like, I think I only know the O Canada part at the beginning. So the rest of the song
Really?
I don't actually know. Not enough to be like, I was like pretty certain, like, but it's pretty good too.
So, first of all, that's O Canada, requested by our patron Cups. The whole reason why that is a salty song request is because a few episodes back, maybe 10 episodes back, I started singing something and Tony thought I was singing O Canada. I'm surprised you don't know that, Tony. Little behind the scenes here. Tony and I used to sing barbershop in like the Northeastern District, which shares singers in Canada. And at the start and finish or whatever, at the start of all of our events, we sing the national anthem and we sing O Canada. We sing the Canadian anthem.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I fucking know it.
Dude, I know like harmony to it, man. And I went to like a couple of those and you went to so many of them. I'm amazed you don't know it, dude.
I don't remember singing O Canada every time, but that was great.
I love the Canada song. It's so great. I almost called it the Canada theme song. That's not right. I love the Canada anthem.
Canada.
It's a beautiful little anthem, man. I'm not even from Canada, and it makes me feel very patriotic whenever I get to sing it. There's just something about it.
Something about it that gets you going.
Yeah, it really does.
I like that.
Well, thanks, Sam. That was a lovely salty song.
Thanks, Mike.
The salty card of the week this week is Joda the Unifier.
Is that the 5-color one?
It is. It is Wooburg. So a white, a blue, a black, a red, a green. For a legendary creature, human wizard. Legendary creatures you control get +X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. So kind of like a weird coat of arms kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and it's a 5/5. So it's basically like Legends only Cascade.
Yep. And it's also basically a 6/6.
Yes.
Because it immediately pumps itself when it hits the board.
Right.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you think about this one?
Well, the reason I asked if it was the 5-color one because I didn't know what the fuck it did. I feel like I have no right to be like, it makes me salty. But the gameplay style of Cascade makes me a little salty. Maybe it could be fun because I don't know that there's ways to double the trigger like a shitload. Like to a point where like Cascade very quickly gets out of control and is like annoying. And people take like 20-minute turns and nothing happened.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like it would fall symptom to the same thing, but maybe it would.
Thankfully, unlike Emoti, which can cascade into something and then cascade again off of an emote trigger for that same spell. This only triggers on casts from your hand. So you're only ever getting it from that, which is nice.
That's why I'm saying it feels like it's less abusable. So I can't imagine it's that bad. To be honest, I'm surprised this is even on the fucking list. Like if somebody read this, I'd be like, oh, just a commander with a bunch of text that I don't really care about. Nice.
Sam, how about you?
Well, I will tell you that this is a pretty salty commander. Having played against it a couple times, it's incredibly powerful. It is just one of those commanders that's gonna snowball. It's gonna put out amazing, crazy shit. Like where Emoti is dropping out like big Timmy creatures, Joda is dropping out like banger legendary creatures that are very, very powerful. And the power and toughness bump is not something to overlook. Like this is a deck that builds a board state quickly and has massive creatures very quickly. It's pretty easy to cascade a couple legendary creatures out and have 3 or 4 8/8s.
Yeah.
Or I guess 9/9s, 8/8s, all kind of in that range. So it's one of those commanders that you really need to keep an eye on because it's going to snowball and you kind of have to like jam it pretty early and like disrupt it as much as you can because once it does start to snowball, it just keeps going. And basically the deck is like ramp to Wooburg as fast as possible, then just crap out a shit ton of legendary creatures on the board and just start swinging for the fences. I don't know if it really gets me salty, but when I see it at a table, I know to be aware of it. I'm like, this is going to be a problem. We should all keep this deck in mind. Once turn 5 hits, you can bet there's going to be some crazy shit that's going to happen.
Yeah. Like, let's imagine the play pattern where you get this out, maybe turn 4. Maybe you played a mana rock, an arcane signet, and you get an extra thing. You get this out turn 4, and you're coming around and you untap turn 5 with this and 6 mana. You cast 2 creatures, 2 legendary creatures from that point. They both cascade. You're looking at, just off of the static ability from Joda, you're looking at 25 additional power and toughness that you've just put on the board by casting 2 spells.
Yep.
Right? Because you suddenly get 4 more legends coming in, and then all your legends are getting +5/+5. And that's just on top of whatever their actual base power and toughnesses are.
Yeah.
So that exponential growth is huge. It always is. It's always something that creates problems, and your power grows exponentially with the number of legends you get out with this. So,
and now Joda is also like in that scenario. Now Joda is also a 10/10 and can swing and hit you. And next turn, when you cast more legendary creatures, he's going to 2-shot. So it's a deceptively powerful deck. You're like, okay, the Cascade isn't as good as other Cascade commanders, but it doesn't need to be. It's actually better. Like a heat-seeking missile, it goes past all the dumb mana rocks, all the shit that you can whiff on with a Cascade to just get your legendary spells. So, in Emoti, when sometimes I Cascade and I'm like, sweet, a Llanowar elf.
Felwar Stone.
Yeah, Felwar Stone. Like, oh, cool, a fog. I'll choose to not cast it. With Joda, it's a hit every time because it's laser targeted. So, I mean, it is powerful. It doesn't get me super salty, but it should be respected. How do you feel about this, Mike? You kind of told us, but I figure I'll ask you anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I have not played against this enough to really feel like I have firsthand salt from playing into it, but I have heard quite a bit, and we see it show up in many stories. It's similar, I think, also to like Atraxa decks, like in the idea of like, one, the floor on it is pretty high. Like the deck you're going to build out of this is going to be pretty decent almost no matter how you do it. And then second, it kind of becomes soup. Like
literally
the deck builds itself a little. Like there's space for creativity with this, but you're going to put good legendary creatures in. And thankfully, Wizards is printing 1 million of those because you need legendary creatures for Commander. But like they're also getting really good and really pushed and stuff. So you're getting a lot of good cards to throw into this that are going to really make the deck come together. So,
and it's not hard. I mean, you think of all of the legendary creatures lately that have like legendary matters, like Shanid Sleeper's Scourge gives all your legends menace, and whenever you play a legendary spell or whenever you cast a legendary spell, you get to draw a card and lose a life. Like even Joyra with the historic stuff, anything historic is going to pop off with it. There's so many things that like synergize with it that it can. It is just very easy with like random legends to build a crazy deck that is going to rip.
Basim Ibn Ishaq.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Kethis the Hidden Hand, like that's a classic one that reduces the cost of legends that you have. There's a lot. There's a lot that can make this deck pop off and make it kind of scary. So,
well, where does it sit on the list?
What an excellent question, Tony. Why don't you guys take some guesses?
I have my guess.
Listener at home, why don't you get your abacus out and indicate between 1 and 300 where you think this falls on the top 300 salty cards?
If somebody at home has a fucking abacus, fucking get in the Discord, take a picture of it when you do it, and send it immediately because I want to see it.
Honestly, old school Magic players might have an abacus because that used to be the life tracker.
I know.
Well, what are these guesses?
I'm guessing 216.
237.
Ooh,
very close guesses,
dude. I almost guessed 236. That's crazy. I changed it.
275, and then I changed it.
Well, Sam takes it.
Yeah,
it was 204.
204. Okay.
Pretty close.
Yeah, in the general
I don't
neighborhood.
think you've been 13 away on a guess in a pretty long time.
Probably not, man.
I think that's probably a fair statement.
Yeah, I probably haven't been. I mean, that's fair. Like, it's powerful, but I don't know if it's getting people salty more than it is a deck to be respected, and people are losing to it a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like a stacks beast that makes me wicked fucking salty. It's just very good, and you can't let it run away.
To me, that's all it was. It was just like, something that's good. I feel like everything above 200 falls into that category.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a card that it does make sense to be on this list because from what I see in the community, it elicits a groan if you sit down and someone pulls Joda out across the table.
Yep.
People generally are like, oof, okay, well, that's where we're going right now with this.
It's kind of like a sliver deck in that regard where people are like, okay, like something crazy is going to happen. Oh, man. I'm looking at the EDH rec now with some of the cards that are in it. Like Annie joins up. All of these like legendary enchantments that came from Thunder Junction. Annie joins up says when it comes in, it does 5 damage to target opponent or target creature, planeswalker, and opponent controls. Doesn't matter. If a triggered ability of a legendary creature you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time.
Yarp.
Sick. And you can cascade into this and then double cascade. Like, it's just so easy, man. It's so easy for this deck to fucking pop off.
It sure is.
Sure is.
Well, that wraps it up for the salty card of the week. Thanks for playing.
Well, thanks, Mike. That was a lovely salty card. And thank you to all the prospectors out there for tuning into another episode of the Howling Salt Mine. We're going to shout them out right now, our Salt Packet Plus tier members, and they are Thotimus Prime, Rothbox, Sire Speedy, Bobo Fett, Brandon Mousecop, Chameleon, Brimstone, Captain Cross, Elgo Fogel, Clearbrook, D. Beeson, Gilgamesh, Doug's Dad, Bark Bark, Eves, JS Evolved, Kylock, Pez, Swankub, The Quiet One, and Vok. Thanks for all the support. And thanks to everybody that tunes into the Howling Salt Mine every single week. We appreciate you hanging with us in the mine, listening to these funny stories, and listening to us gab about random shit and make up funny songs. If you're looking for more Howling Salt Mine, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. We got the Discord. We're hanging in there. People are jamming games. We got the monthly Patreon game night in there. We got the bonus content, extra salt, stray grains, off the rails. And we also have that token tier where you can get those monthly tokens. So check out all that shit. There's a lot of different ways to get involved if you want more of that Howling Salt Mine community in your life. Another way that you can help out the show is to send us your salty stories, whether it's to our website that we mentioned earlier in the show, thehowlingsaltmine.com or howlingsaltmine.com, or you just send it directly to us in our Gmail, thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com. Get us those salty stories. We'll throw them in the queue. We'll mix them up every single week and pull out a few and read them. Another way that you can help out the show is to check out our merchandise, which we have shirts at Bonfire, playmats at Jankmats, the thickest juiciest playmats in the community. And you can get custom Dragon Shield sleeves from our website too. So check out all that shit. Buy it all. Adorn all of your things with cool Howling Salt Mine merch. Make your mom proud. I don't know. I'm hitting silly times, guys. Another way that you can support the show is to give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app of choice, whether that is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, whatever it is. Give us a 5-star review. It's going to help us stick out in the algorithm so other people can find us naturally through the suggestion of the internet robots that tell us what to consume.
Yeah. Naturally through artificial intelligence.
And naturally through very artificial means. We don't pay for any advertisement on this show. So that actually really does go a long way to help the show grow somewhat unnaturally, but we appreciate it. Lastly, we got to shout him out. Our buddy Devin Burnett for giving us this beautiful podcast art. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo because he is a really cool guy.
10,000 subscribers are bust.
Indeed. You busted so hard there, Tony. Your voice
your mic cut out.
Yeah, your voice
really?
vanished into the infinite. It just turned into nothing. All right. Well, thanks for listening. And don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step. Oh, and stay salty. Fuck.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Oh, and stay salty. Fuck. I think that just stays. I think that just stays as the outro.
That's good that way.
Oh, man. Dude, turn 1. LED Phyrexian Arena, you'll have a full hand by turn 7. That math isn't right. Oh well.
I was gonna let it ride, but
a little Phyrexian Arena for Mike and all the others that love that card so much.
Love it so much. I love the way it draws you so many cards up front right away in such an efficient way, both in mana and anyway. Don't get me on this again.
It's an investment, man. It's an investment. Player 3 is playing Imskir Iron Eater. Oh, say that 10 times fast. Imskir. Oh my God. Imskir.
You're about to.
Dog.
Dog, bark, bark, Doug's dad.
Dog's Doug. At thehowlingsaltmine.com, at gmail.com. Wow, I'm saying .com a lot. Oh, it's because I fucked up. and our I'm losing my fucking mind, man. And of course, our email is thehowlingsaltmine at gmail.com.
At com.com.
That is fucking so bad. I have to turn off my air conditioner. This is part of the new process. Oh, salty card. Mike reads you every week. Oh, wait. I have to turn off the musician thing. All right. Did any of that come through?
Yeah, that was good.
All of it did.
All right. Well, I'm doing it again. Oh, salty card.